Like it's why, like, listen, okay, so this is what people say. They'll say, oh, this is ancient Egypt. That's Memphis. The Memphis River is the Mississippi River, right? They're all talking linguistics of languages they don't understand. What does Memphis mean in that language? You know what I mean? What does Kemet mean, or Egypt? What does Egypt mean in the language? Because Egypt ain't even the language that that place is said to be, right? Memphis is not the real word. Memphis is the Greek word, right? So I'm just referencing places that people try to throw up. You know what I mean? If Memphis was an indigenous place, why have no indigenous nations recorded that? And that's not to say that in that place where Memphis actually sits, there wasn't an actual indigenous city, but it wasn't called Memphis because guess what? They didn't speak Greek. So if they were really those people, why wouldn't we have the real name? You feel me? Like they'll say Egypt was over here. Why wouldn't you say Kemet was over here? That would help more credibility if credit is the actual, if Kemet is the actual ancient name, which we don't even know that to be true. You understand? So this is what I mean when I talk about people talk stuff. People will claim a territory and say this, but they don't know nothing about the languages that are spoken in that area. If they knew anything about the languages spoken in the area, they know that the languages are descriptive languages and they speak to our history. You know what I'm saying? We speak English, but we don't really know what we're saying because we don't know the true meaning of these words. You know what I'm saying? We just using them and we have a familiar or whatever, but they are part of our history. When I speak Lenape, the certain words that are spoken speak to our history, not just, we ain't just talking like, you know what I mean? They speak to certain things. So this is going to be common in any indigenous language. This is why you can drive all around America and you can still see the indigenous names of these places all over, primarily Algonquin names, or should I say Lenape names, right? You're not going to see no Egyptian names unless they're named by European people. Why are European people so fascinated with Kemet? Because that's where they got raised up at. That's where they got their knowledge from. They got their knowledge from Kemite, from the Cometians that ended up migrating into Europe and established the royal dynasty and all those things, which is why there's so many similarities between the British royals and when you look at Kemet culture and all this and all that, which is why in the Americas you got the Capitol Hill, and in Kemet you got the Kapita, and that's where they crown the pharaoh, and the Capitol Hill is where the president gets, you know what I mean? Because they're emulating Egyptian culture. Europeans always have. They learned it through the Moors. They learned it through all these different people. So when the Europeans came here, they brought their mindset, they brought their worshipfulness, they brought all their things. So they came here and some said, damn, those might be the lost tribe of Israel. Some of them, other ones saw pyramids and said, damn, this shit look just like Egypt. And they wrote that shit in their books. And the niggas that's trying to find out who they are finding these white people's books that were writing shit about shit they didn't know nothing about. And they're taking it for the word. Just like they say California and Queen Khalifa. Ain't no such thing as a Queen Khalifa. That's come from a 15th century storybook novel that was written for Spaniards.
Wait. So that ain't real, the Queen?
No. Now, am I saying that there wasn't a female tribal leader on the West Coast that was a dominant figure? I'm not saying that. That's true. But her name wasn't Khalifa. And the whole mythology behind that comes from a book. And in that book, California was an island that was next to the Garden of Eden.
Where was the Garden of Eden?
It's over in Africa. It ain't got nothing to do with here. It's a Spanish book. These Spaniards that came here, this is the first time they ever came here. They didn't know this shit was here. That's why they called California, California, because they thought it was an island. But we know it's not an island. All this shit is right before people's eyes, but everybody want to, and make this shit bigger, and it's a conspiracy. No. Queen Khalifa come from Spanish people coming here, them soldiers who have been reading this novel, which was like the #1 novel for Spanish kids. So these kids who grew up wanting to be soldiers, reading this book, now they're grown and they're fighting in another country and they see a dominant woman and they immediately go, that's Queen Khalifa. Now everybody says, oh, Queen Khalifa Amazons. Then they want to talk about the Amazons. The Amazon is the European title for that river down there. That's not what them people down there call it. See what I'm saying? So what we doing is we just following behind the European, reading his books, and he was writing them when he didn't even know what was going on. He's just writing what he see and associating what he know with it. That's why they thought we was the lost tribe of Israel. That's why they thought when they seen pyramid complexes that they was in Egypt, because they associated everything pyramid-wise with Egypt and Africa. And now us trying to be woke, trying to be this, trying to be that is doing the same thing. It's really ridiculous. Like, come on now, we better than that.
Man.
Like, everything real. I got friends who study Kemet heavy. And everyone tell me, right, if Kemet came here, the pharaohs, man, they left markings, they left everything behind. And people be like, oh no, that shit's in the Grand Canyon. Okay, well, when they pull that shit out, fine. Because I know one thing, like, these people have created so many fake shit. You know what I mean? Like, they pull shit out of some shit in Ohio, Bat Creek Cave, right? People want to say it's some Kemetic shit. That shit turned out to be some Viking shit. But what people don't realize is that everybody worshiped the same shit back then. Everybody worshiped the bull. So they seen this primitive carving of a bull, and they're thinking it's the Apis bull. It's gotta be. Kemet, they worship the bull. Oh, Kemet was here. People going crazy. Then when they further develop it, oh, that's something that got left over here in more recent times by some Europeans who also worship the same Apis bull.
So you don't think the same way people from Kemet travel to Europe, you don't think they travel to America as well?
I know they did. I know who got treaties with certain groups that came here. Like, I never said they didn't come here, but this is not that. You feel me?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, they came here. They didn't come here and teach us nothing. Let me tell you something. Like, everybody gonna jump on the Olmecs. I spent a month down there, right? Boots on the ground in these villages. Them same people that you say is Africans are still there. And they're not Africans. And they're dark. Mm-hmm. They're not. They look just like them Olmec statues. I've been there. I filmed it. Right? I got all that shit. Right? Them people are indigenous people that have been there forever. Right? Did the Africans come there? Sure did. Did they exchange information and knowledge? Sure did. Was it a rekindling of a much older affair, relationship that was happening thousands and that? Sure did, because we've been interacting with these people forever. Just because the European first found out about it and wanted to narrate it the way he wanted to, that's on him, right? Like, right. People to tell you the Olmecs and the Egyptians, this and that, and they're great stone builders, and the Olmecs were great stone builders, and they'll even say the Olmec became the Mayan, and then the Mayan became the, like, they say all these crazy things, and these are all very different people. Now, I mean, the Olmec are not the Egyptians. Olmec, like, the Olmec architecture is completely different than anything Egyptian. You know what I mean? Those Olmec sculptures, if those were Africans, you would find those same sculptures in Africa somewhere. The only ones of those sculptures that are in Africa are ones that were donated by Mexico to certain African nations. You know what I mean? When that book was written, talking about the African influence of the Americas, mm-hmm. It was just that, the influence. Mm-hmm. Never said that Africans came here and started the culture here. Not mm-hmm. the modern Africans that they want to give credit for. If you want to say Africans came here, they came here 80,000 years ago. And when they came here, they called themselves the Lenape.
Man, listen, I enjoyed the conversation.